The wind moved gently across the Apache Valley as Tahoma stood outside his cabin, watching his 4 children play near the stream. There was a time when laughter had filled this place every day. His wife, Ayana, had been the heart of their home. Her smile had warmed even the coldest winter mornings, but that had been 3 years ago. A harsh illness had swept through the region, and despite every remedy the tribe could offer, Ayana had passed away. Since then, Tahoma had carried the burden alone. He was one of the most respected warriors in the tribe, brave in battle, loyal to his people, strong enough to face any enemy. Yet every night, after his children fell asleep, he felt helpless. No warrior was prepared to fight loneliness. His oldest daughter, Nita, was 12 years old and had begun helping care for her younger brothers and sister. Too much responsibility for a child. Tahoma noticed it every day. One evening, as they sat around the fire eating supper, little Kiona looked up at him. "Father?" Tahoma smiled gently. "Yes?" The 7-year-old girl hesitated. "Do you think Mother can still see us?" The question struck him like an arrow. The cabin became silent. Tahoma looked into the flames before answering. "I believe she can." Kiona smiled. "Then I hope she knows we're trying to be brave." Tahoma nodded. "I think she knows." That night, after the children slept, Tahoma remained beside the fire outside. The tribal elder, Chayton, approached quietly. "You are thinking again." Tahoma laughed softly. "I never stopped." The old man sat beside him. For a while, neither spoke. Finally, Chayton broke the silence. "Your children need more than a warrior." Tahoma knew what he meant. "They need a mother." "Yes." Tahoma stared at the stars. "I loved Ayana. No one doubts that. I cannot replace her." "You are not supposed to." The elder's words lingered in the night air. "You honor the dead," Chayton continued, "by living, not by remaining trapped in sorrow." Tahoma remained silent. Deep inside, he knew the elder was right. His children needed warmth, guidance, a family once more. The following weeks brought many conversations. Friends encouraged him to seek a new wife. Several women in neighboring villages were widows themselves. Others had never married. Tahoma listened, politely, but made no decision. And one afternoon, everything changed. Trading caravan arrived from a distant settlement. As the merchants unloaded supplies, Tahoma noticed a woman helping an elderly couple. She was unlike anyone he had seen before. Calm, confident. Her name was Elara. She had traveled with the caravan after losing her family many years earlier. Unlike others, she did not try to impress anyone. She simply worked quietly and helped wherever she could. Over the next few days, Tahoma saw her often. She treated his children with patience and kindness. Even little Kiona, who rarely trusted strangers, smiled around her. One evening, Nita approached her father. "You like her." Tahoma nearly choked on his drink. "What?" Nita laughed. "The woman from the caravan." Tahoma shook his head. "You are imagining things." "No," she grinned. "I am not." For the first time in years, Tahoma felt embarrassed. But later that night, he admitted something to himself. Perhaps his daughter was right. Perhaps it was time to stop living in the past. Perhaps a new beginning was possible. What Tahoma did not know was that fate had already begun moving far beyond the valley. A mysterious traveler was heading toward the Apache lands. The stranger carried an old leather pouch. Inside was a secret connected to Tahoma, a secret connected to Ayana, and a truth that would change everything he believed about his life. The traveler rode through the darkness, toward the valley, toward destiny. The mysterious traveler reached the Apache Valley 3 days later. His horse was exhausted. His clothes were covered with dust from hundreds of miles of travel. Yet he refused to stop. The old man carried only a blanket, a knife, and the worn leather pouch that never left his side. When the village guards approached him, he raised his hands peacefully. "I have come to find a man named Tahoma." The guards exchanged glances. "What business do you have with him?" The traveler hesitated. "A promise made many years ago." Word spread quickly through the village. By sunset, Tahoma was standing before the stranger. The warrior studied him carefully. The old man appeared tired, but there was something unusual in his eyes, something familiar. "I am Tahoma." The traveler nodded slowly. "Then I have finally found you." They sat near the council fire while several elders listened. The old man introduced himself as Mateo. "I knew your wife." Tahoma's body immediately tensed. "Ayana?" "Yes." The warrior's voice became cold. "My wife died 3 years ago." "I know." "Then why have you come?" Mateo looked into the flames. "Because before she died, she asked me to find you one day." A heavy silence fell over the gathering. Tahoma stared at him. "That makes no sense." Mateo slowly removed the leather pouch. Inside was a small silver pendant. The moment Tahoma saw it, his heart stopped. It had belonged to Ayana. He had given it to her shortly after they were married. When she died, the pendant had disappeared. Tahoma reached for it with trembling hands. "Where did you get this?" "Ayana gave it to me." The warrior's mind raced. "Why?" Mateo sighed deeply. "Because she knew there was a chance she would not survive." Tahoma felt the old pain returning. The grief he had buried for years suddenly resurfaced. The old man continued. "Before she became your wife, Ayana traveled far from these lands." Tahoma frowned. He had known little about her early years. She rarely spoke about them. "During those travels," Mateo said, "she saved a young girl." Tahoma remained silent. "A girl whose entire family had been killed." The fire crackled softly. "Your wife protected her for nearly 2 years." Tahoma looked confused. "What happened to the girl?" Mateo's expression darkened. "They were separated during an attack." The elders listened carefully. No one knew if the child survived. Tahoma frowned. "What does this have to do with me?" Mateo slowly reached into the pouch again. This time he removed a folded piece of cloth. Inside was a letter. Tahoma immediately recognized Ayana's handwriting. His chest tightened. The old man handed it to him. With shaking fingers, Tahoma unfolded the letter. The first line nearly brought him to tears. "My beloved Tahoma." The warrior swallowed hard and continued reading silently. As his eyes moved across the page, his expression changed. Shock, confusion, disbelief, then silence. Long silence. The elders exchanged worried looks. Finally Chaitin spoke. "What does it say?" Tahoma looked up slowly. His voice was barely a whisper. "It says—" He stopped. The words felt impossible. "It says that if anything happened to her," he looked down again, "I should find the girl she once protected." The old man nodded. "That was her dying wish." Tahoma shook his head. "But why?" Mateo's eyes softened. "Because Ayana loved that child as if she were her own daughter." The warrior sat motionless. Ayana had never told him this. Not once. "There is more," Mateo said. Tahoma looked at him. The old man took a deep breath. "We found the girl." Every elder around the fire became still. "What?" Tahoma asked. "We found her." "Where?" Mateo smiled faintly. "Closer than you think." The warrior's heart began pounding. "What do you mean?" Mateo pointed toward the village, toward the cabins, toward the people, toward someone Tahoma had seen almost every day during the last week. The old man spoke quietly. "The girl your wife once saved." Double quotes. "Is Ilara." Tahoma froze. The world seemed to stop. The woman who had arrived with the trading caravan. The woman his children already adored. The woman he had slowly begun to admire. Impossible. It could not be true. Yet the pendant. The letter. The details of everything fit. Mateo nodded. Ayana spent years searching for her after they were separated. Tahoma could barely speak. And Ilara knows this? The old man lowered his eyes. No. The warrior stared into the darkness. The woman he thought he was only beginning to know suddenly carried a connection to his late wife. A connection neither of them had ever imagined. But an even greater surprise was still waiting, because hidden within Ayana's letter was another secret. A secret Mateo had not yet revealed. A secret that would shake Tahoma's world even more than the first. And before long, everyone in the valley would learn the truth. The next morning, the entire village was talking about the map. Some believed it should be destroyed. Others believed it should be hidden. Few thought they should follow it and uncover the truth. Ilara sat inside the council lodge studying every detail. The map was old. Very old. Several markings had faded with time. But one thing was clear. It pointed toward the mountains north of the valley. Dangerous region few people visited. Tahoma entered the lodge. The children are looking for you. Ilara smiled. Again. They have already decided you belong here. Her smile faded slightly. Belonging was something she had not felt for many years. Maybe never. Tahoma sat beside her. What have you found? Ilara pointed to a symbol on the map. I think this marks a canyon. And this might be a cave. Tahoma studied it. Then his expression changed. I know this place. You do? The warrior nodded. Years ago I hunted there with my father. It is nearly 3 days away. Dangerous country. Ilara looked at him. Then that is where we must go. Tahoma expected those words, and he already knew his answer. I am coming with you. Ilara smiled. I hoped you would say that. By afternoon, a small group was chosen. Tahoma Mateo. And 2 experienced Apache scouts named Koda and Ahanu. Elder Chayton disliked the idea. It could be a trap. Perhaps. But if there is truth waiting there, we must find it. The old elder finally agreed. They would leave at sunrise. That evening, Tahoma gathered his children. Nita immediately understood. You are leaving. Only for a few days. The oldest daughter crossed her arms. That usually means danger. Tahoma laughed softly. You sound like your mother. The children grew quiet. Ayana was rarely mentioned. Not because they had forgotten her, because they missed her too much. Kiona stepped forward. Will Ilara go too? Yes. The little girl smiled. Good. She keeps you from being grumpy. Even. Tahoma laughed at that. The next morning the group departed. The valley slowly disappeared behind them. The first day passed peacefully. The second day became more difficult. The terrain grew rough. Steep cliffs surrounded them. Ancient pines covered the mountains. Late that afternoon, they discovered something unexpected. Fresh tracks. Horse tracks. Koda knelt beside them. His face became serious. 3 riders, maybe 4. Rourke. Tahoma nodded. The scarred man was following them. The discovery changed everything. That night they doubled the guard. No one slept well. Near midnight, Ilara woke suddenly. A shadow moved among the trees. She reached for her knife. Who is there? The shadow stepped forward. It was Mateo. The old man looked troubled. I could not sleep. Neither could I. Mateo sat beside the fire. For several moments he stared into the flames. Then he spoke quietly. There is something I never told you. Ilara looked at him. A secret. The old man smiled sadly. Yes, perhaps my last one. Ilara listened carefully. Your father knew he was being hunted. Before he died, he entrusted me with more than the box. What do you mean? Mateo reached inside his coat. He removed a folded piece of paper. I have carried this for 20 years. Ilara slowly opened it. The writing was unfamiliar. Who wrote this? Your Father. Elara felt her heart pounding. The note was short. Very short. But the final sentence changed everything. If my daughter survives, tell her that the enemy is closer than she believes. Elara read the sentence again. And again. Then she looked up. What does that mean? Matthias' face darkened. I do not know, but your father feared someone. Someone he trusted. Someone close to him. A traitor. The realization sent chills through both of them. Suddenly a sharp whistle cut through the darkness. Everyone jumped to their feet. Coda rushed into camp. Warriors. To the north. How many asked? Tahoma. The scout looked worried. At least 10. The camp instantly erupted into motion. Weapons were drawn. Horses were secured. Everyone knew one thing. Those men were not Apache, and they were heading straight toward them. Within seconds, the camp was ready. Tahoma moved to the edge of the trees. Koda and Ahanu took positions beside him. The moonlight revealed movement among the rocks. Several riders were approaching. Slowly. Carefully. As if they were searching for something. Or someone. Elara stood near the fire with Mateo. Her heart was pounding. How did they find us so quickly? Mateo did not answer. He was asking himself the same question. The riders stopped less than 100 yards away. One figure stepped forward. Thoma narrowed his eyes. Then he recognized the man. Rook. The scarred hunter smiled. Was hoping to find you before you reached the canyon. Thoma kept his bow raised. You found us. Now leave. Rourke laughed. If I wanted a fight, you would already have one. Then why are you here? The scarred man looked directly at Elara. Because she deserves the truth. No one trusted him. Not for a second. Yet Elara stepped forward. What truth? Rourke's smile disappeared. The truth about your father. The truth about the map. And the truth about the man who betrayed your family. The camp became silent. Even the wind seemed to stop. Elara stared at him. Who betrayed my father? Rourke shook his head. Not here. Not tonight. And why come at all? Because others are coming. Dangerous men? Far worse than me. Tahoma frowned. Who? The scarred man pointed toward the Fun mountains. The same people who destroyed your father's tribe. The same people who have been hunting this map for 20 years. Nobody spoke. Rourke continued. You are all walking into a trap. Then tell us everything said. Elara. The scarred man hesitated. For the first time he seemed uncertain. There was a hidden valley beyond the canyon. A place known only to a few people. Your father protected something there. Something people have killed for. Gold. Asked Ahanu. Rourke laughed. Much more valuable than gold. What is it then? The scarred man looked toward Elara. Proof. Algrewan looked confused. Proof of what? Proof of who ordered the destruction of your father's tribe. Those words changed everything. For years, Elara believed her people had simply disappeared. Now she was hearing that someone had planned their destruction. Someone powerful. Someone important. Tahoma noticed the fear in her eyes. He stepped closer. Whatever happens, we will face it together. Elara nodded. His words gave her strength. Rourke watched them carefully. And he spoke again. You have 1 day. Maybe 2. After that, the others will reach the canyon. And if they find what is hidden there first. He did not finish the sentence. He did not need to. Everyone understood. Without another word, Rourke mounted his horse. His men followed. Soon they disappeared into the darkness once again. Coda looked at Tahoma. Can we trust him? No. Then why listen to him? Tahoma watched the distant mountains. Because sometimes even liars tell part of the truth. The next morning they broke camp. Before sunrise. The group moved quickly. By midday, the mountains grew steeper. The air became colder. Then Ahanu suddenly raised his hand. Stop. Everyone froze. Ahead stood a narrow canyon. Exactly where the map indicated dot at its entrance was an ancient stone, marker dot half buried by time. Ilara stepped closer. There was a symbol carved into the stone, the same symbol that appeared on the map. They had found it. The canyon dot the place her father had wanted her to discover. For the first time, hope filled her heart. Maybe the answers were finally close. Maybe she would learn who her father truly was. Maybe she would learn why he died. But as they entered the canyon, none of them noticed the figure watching from high above. A man hidden among the rocks, a spy, one of the hunters' Rourke, had warned them about. The man smiled. Then he turned his horse and rode, away straight toward his master. The race for the truth had begun. Tahoma barely slept that night. Ayana's letter remained in his hands. Until sunrise again, and again he read every word. The more he read, the more questions appeared. Why had Ayana kept this secret for so many years? Why had she never spoken about Eleron, what was hidden inside the wooden box? At dawn, Tahoma climbed a ridge above the valley. He sat alone and opened the letter one more time. This time he reached the final page. Ayana's words felt as if they had been written yesterday. My beloved Tahamathir is something I could never tell you, not because I did not trust you, but because I gave my word. The warrior continued reading. Many years before meeting you, I was saved by a brave man during a terrible attack. That man gave his life so I could live before he died. He asked me to protect his daughter. I promised him I would. Tahoma lowered the letter. The daughter could only be Ilara. He continued reading. For years I searched for her after we were separated. I never stopped hoping she was alive. Fate ever brings her back into your life. Please help her discover the truth about her family. Truth is hidden inside a wooden box. Tahoma felt his heart racing. The truth about her family. What did that mean just? Then footsteps approached. Mateo peered beside him. The old traveler carried a small wooden chest. It was old and worn from age. Taomi immediately stood. Is that the box? Mateo nodded. I have protected it for many years. Then it belongs to Elara. Mateo looked toward the village. Yes. I believe it is finally time. Later that afternoon, Ilara was invited to the council lodge. She arrived confused. Several elders were present. Tahoma stood beside Mateo. In the center of the room rested the wooden box. Ilara froze the moment she saw it. Her eyes widened. Where did you find that? Mateo looked surprised. You recognize it a little? I remember seeing something like it when I was very young. The old man slowly pushed the box toward her. Then perhaps it belongs to you. Ilara hesitated. Her hands trembled as she opened the lid. Inside were several folded documents, a silver ring, and an old map. The moment she saw the ring, tears filled her eyes. I know this ring. It belonged to my father. Silence filled the room. Ilara carefully opened the first document. Her eyes moved across the faded writing. At first she looked confused. Then shocked. Then completely speechless. Tahoma stepped closer. What is Ilara? Looked up. Her face had turned pale. This cannot be true. The elders exchanged worried glances. What does it say? Asked Tahoma. Ilara swallowed. According to this document, my father was not a traitor. Then who was he? Looked back at the paper. Her voice became almost a whisper. He was the chief of a tribe. A powerful tribe that disappeared many years ago. The room erupted with murmurs. Even the elders looked stunned. Elara opened another document. More names, more records. More proof. Everything pointed to the same truth. Her entire life had been built on a lie. She was not the daughter of a simple traveler. She was the daughter of a chief. A daughter who had vanished during an attack many years earlier. Ilara slowly sat down. The discovery was overwhelming. For years she had believed she was alone in the world. Now she was learning that she had a history. A family. A legacy. Tahoma noticed the sadness behind her eyes. This should have been a joyful moment. Instead, it felt like a burden. He gently placed a hand on her shoulder. You are not alone. Ilara looked at him. For a moment neither spoke, but something passed between them. A feeling of trust. A feeling neither could explain. Then Mateo spoke again. There is one more thing. Everyone turned toward him. The old man pointed at the map. Your father protected this map with his life. Many men have searched for it. Many have died searching for it. Elara frowned. Why? Mateo single quotes S face darkened. Because it leads to something valuable. Something people have been hunting for many years. The council lodge became silent once. Again. At that very moment, a lookout shouted from outside the village. Riders have been spotted to the east. Warriors immediately rushed toward the entrance. Tahoma stepped outside. Far in the distance, 3 horsemen were approaching. The scarred man leading them had spent years searching for the wooden box, and after all this time he had finally found its trail. The peace of the valley was about to end. The alarm spread quickly through the village. Warriors grabbed their bows. Mothers called their children indoors. Everyone watched the eastern trail. The 3 riders continued, approaching. Taom. They stood beside Elder Chayton. His hand rested on the handle of his knife. The riders finally stopped at the edge of the village. The leader stepped forward. A Muider stepped forward. Scar crossed the left side of his face. His eyes were cold. He showed no fear. I am looking for a wooden box. No one answered. The man smiled. Then, I have come to the right place. Tahoma stepped forward. You have entered Apache land. State your purpose and leave. The stranger looked directly at him. My name is Rourke. I am not here to cause trouble. I only want something that belongs to me. Tahoma's expression hardened. Nothing here belongs to you. Rourke laughed. We shall see. His eyes moved across the villagers. Then they stopped on Ilara. For a brief moment his smile disappeared. So she is alive. Ilara felt a chill run through her body. You know me? Rourke looked at her carefully. I knew your father. The entire village became silent. Ilara stepped forward. You knew my father very well. The answer surprised everyone. Even Mateo looked uneasy. Rourke slowly dismounted. Your father and I traveled together many years ago. We searched for something important. Something hidden. Something worth a fortune. Mateo immediately interrupted. He is lying. Rourke laughed. I've scarred man pointed toward the council lodge. Ask him about the map. Thoma instantly realized why the man had come. The map, the wooden box, the secret. Rourke had been hunting them all along. The Apache warriors surrounded the strangers. One wrong move would start a fight. Rourke raised his hands. I did not come for war. Then leave, said Tahoma. The scarred man smiled. I will leave, for now. But before I go, I have a message for Ilara. Everyone watched. Rourke looked directly at her. Your father did not die because of bandits. Ilara froze. What the smile vanished from Rourke's face. He was murdered. The words struck like lightning. No one moved. No one spoke. Ilara stared at him. Who killed him? Rourke climbed back onto his horse. Find the place marked on the map. There you will discover the truth. With that, he turned away. The 3 riders disappeared into the distance. The village remained silent long after they were gone. That evening the council gathered. Nobody trusted Rourke, but nobody could ignore what he had said. Ilara sat quietly. Her thoughts were racing. First she learned who her father really was. Now she was hearing that he may have been murdered. Nothing made sense anymore. Later she walked alone to the river. The map rested in her hands. Tahoma. Found her there. You should not be alone tonight. Alara forced a smile. I needed time to think. Taomi sat beside her. For several moments, neither spoke, and Alara finally broke the silence. Do you think he was telling the truth about your father? Yes. Tahoma looked at the water. I think he mixed truth with lies. Why? Because men like him rarely tell the whole story. Alara nodded. That was exactly what she feared. The moon reflected across the river. The night felt peaceful, yet neither could ignore the danger approaching. After a while, Alara looked at Tahom. Why are you helping me? The question surprised him. Because it is the right thing to do. No. She smiled softly. There is more than that. Thoma looked away. For years after Ayana died, he had built walls around his heart. Now those walls were beginning to crack, and he knew it. Finally he answered, because my wife believed you were important. Alara listened carefully, and because Tahoma paused. Then he smiled. Because my children would never forgive me if I abandoned their favorite storyteller. For the first time all day Alara laughed. A real laugh. The sound warmed Tahoma's heart. Far away from the village, another fire burned in the darkness. Rourke and his men sat around it. One of them looked concerned. What if the Apache follow the map first? Rourke smiled. They will. That is exactly what I want. The man frowned. Why? Rourke stared into the flames. Because they will lead me directly to what I have been searching for all these years. Then his expression darkened. And once I have it, no one will stand in my way. The hunt had begun. The canyon stretched for miles. Towering walls of stone rose on both sides. In some places the path became so narrow that only one rider could pass at a time. Tahoma did not like it. Too many places for an ambush. Too many places to hide. Stay alert, he told the group. Everyone nodded. As the day passed, the canyon slowly widened. Near sunset, they finally reached a hidden valley. The moment they entered it, they stopped in amazement. It was beautiful. A small river crossed the valley. Ancient trees covered the hills. Wild horses grazed peacefully in the distance. For a moment, it felt untouched by the outside world. Mateo looked around silently. After all these years, we found it. Alara studied the map. The markings led toward a cliff on the far side of the valley. They crossed the river and continued. Soon they discovered something hidden behind a curtain of vines. A cave. Tahoma exchanged a glance with Koda. Weapons ready. The warriors entered first. The cave was larger than expected. Deep inside, they found old wooden chests. Broken tools, blankets reduced to dust, signs that people had once lived there. Then Alara noticed something carved into the stone wall. The same symbol that appeared on the map. Her heart raced. This was it. This was the place her father had wanted her to find. She approached carefully. Beneath the symbol was a small hollow in the rock. Inside rested a leather bundle. Protected from time. Protected from the world. Alara carefully lifted it out. Her hands trembled. Slowly she opened it. Inside were dozens of documents. Letters. Records. Names. And one final journal. A journal written by her father. For a moment, nobody spoke. Alara opened the first page. The handwriting matched the note Mateo had carried for years. Tears filled her eyes. It was truly his. She began reading. As the pages turned, the truth slowly emerged. Her father had led a peaceful alliance of tribes. Many neighboring tribes trusted him. Together, they had created something rare. Peace. But not everyone wanted peace. A wealthy land developer named Victor Hale had wanted control of the entire region. He wanted the rivers. The forests, the mineral deposits beneath the mountains. The alliance stood in his way. So he secretly paid mercenaries to destroy it. Village After village had been attacked, families scattered, leaders murdered, the alliance collapsed, and Ilara's father became one of the targets. The cave fell silent. Finally, Ahanu spoke. One man caused all this. Mateo nodded. A powerful man, a greedy man. Ilara continued reading. Then she suddenly froze. There was one final entry, written only days before her father's death. Her face turned pale. Tahoma noticed immediately. What is Itelara? Looked up slowly. There was a traitor. Everyone became silent. A man inside my father's circle betrayed him. Hulara continued reading. Then she whispered a name. Rourke. That the cave erupted in disbelief. Koda cursed under his breath. Mateo stared at the journal. Impossible. But the evidence was there. Written by Ilara's own father. Rourke had not merely known her father. He had betrayed him. He had helped destroy everything. Anger-filled. Tahoma. The scarred hunter had lied from the beginning. Every word had been designed to manipulate them. And a voice echoed from the cave. Entrance. Not every word. Everyone spun around. A figure stood in the fading light. Rourke. And he was not alone. More than a dozen armed men stood behind him. The scarred hunter slowly entered the cave. His expression was calm. Almost sad. Yes, I betrayed your father, but I was not the monster in this story. Ilara stepped forward. You destroyed my family. Rourke shook his head. No. Victor Hall, they did. I was young. I was foolish. And I spent 20 years trying to correct that mistake. Nobody believed him. Yet there was something different in his voice, something that sounded like regret. Then another sound echoed through the valley. Gunshots. Many gunshots. Rourke immediately turned. His face became serious. They found us. Who found us? Asked Tahoma. The scarred man looked directly at him. Victor. Hale's men. And this time they came to finish what they started 20 years ago. The final battle was about to begin. The gunshots echoed across the valley. Everyone rushed to the cave entrance. Smoke was rising near the river. Dozens of armed riders were entering the hidden valley, more than anyone had expected. Tahoma immediately understood the danger. These were not ordinary bandits. They were organized. Disciplined and heavily armed. Koda counted quickly. At least 30. Maybe more. The Apache warriors exchanged grim looks. They were badly outnumbered. Rourke stepped beside Tahoma. Believe me now. Tahoma kept his eyes on the approaching riders. Not yet. Fair enough. The scarred man pointed toward the cliffs. If we stay in the open, we die. The warriors knew he was right. Everyone moved quickly. The cave offered protection. The cliffs offered higher ground. Within minutes they had prepared defenses. Ilara remained inside the cave holding her father's journal. For years she had searched for answers. Now she finally had them. Yet there was no time to mourn. The sound of hoofbeats grew louder. Then a rider emerged from the enemy group. An older man dressed inexpensive clothing. His hair was gray. His face carried the confidence of someone used to getting everything he wanted. Victor Hall. Even after all these years he looked powerful. He stopped his horse in the center of the valley. His eyes moved toward the cave. Then he smiled. So the lost daughter survived? Ilara stepped outside. You destroyed my family. Victor laughed. Your family stood in my way. The answer shocked everyone. No regret. No shame. Only arrogance. Ilara felt anger rise inside her. 20 years of suffering. Thousands of lives destroyed. And this man spoke as if it meant nothing. Victor looked toward Rourke. And there is my favorite disappointment. Rourke's face hardened. I spent 20 years regretting the day I worked for you. Victor shrugged. Regret changes nothing. Then he pointed toward the cave. Bring me the journal. Nobody moved. Victor's smile faded. Bring me the journal, or everyone here dies. The valley became silent. Tahoma stepped forward. The Apache warrior stood tall. You will leave this valley, now, Victor laughed. 1 man against 30, you are brave or foolish. Tahoma slowly drew his knife. Maybe both. The Apache warriors took their positions, So did Rourke's men. For a moment, old enemies stood together, united by a common threat. Victor shook his head. Very well, kill them. The battle began instantly. Gunshots exploded across the valley. Arrows flew from the cliffs. Several of Victor's riders fell before reaching the cave. Chaos erupted everywhere. Tahoma fought like a man possessed. Years of experience guided every movement. One attacker rushed toward him. Tahoma disarmed him. Another followed. Then another. Meanwhile, Koda and Ahanu defended the cave entrance. No one passed them. Inside the cave, Mateo protected Ilara. You must survive. Ilara shook her head. We all survive. The old man smiled. You sound like your father. Outside, the fighting intensified. Victor's men continued advancing. Their numbers were becoming a problem. Tahoma realized they could not hold forever. Then something unexpected happened. A loud war cry echoed through the valley. Everyone turned. More riders were arriving. Dozens of them. Apache riders. At their head rode Elder Chayton. The old chief had come, and he had not come alone. Warriors from neighboring tribes followed him. The valley erupted with new hope. Victor's smile vanished. The balance had changed. For the first time, fear appeared in his eyes. The reinforcements charged into battle. Victor's men began retreating. The attack collapsed. Within minutes, the fight was over. The survivors fled toward the mountains. Victor attempted to escape with them, but Rourke intercepted him. The 2 men faced each other one final time. You ruined countless lives, said Rourke. Victor sneered, and I would do it again. Those were his last words before he was captured. Silence slowly returned to the valley. The battle was over. At last, Ilara stepped outside. The journal still rested safely in her hands. The truth had survived, and so had the people willing to protect it. But for Tahoma and Ilara, the greatest surprise was still waiting, because the end of the battle would soon mark the beginning of something far more important. A new future, one neither of them had expected. The hidden valley was finally quiet. The smoke of battle slowly disappeared into the evening sky. Many warriors were wounded. Some had lost friends, but the people had survived. Victor Hale was tied securely beneath a large tree while guards watched him. For the first time in many years, justice seemed possible. That night, a great fire was lit near the river. The Apache warriors shared food with their allies. Stories were told. Laughter returned. Even after the difficult day, many people felt hope. Ilara sat beside the fire holding her father's journal. She had spent hours reading every page. The more she read, the more she understood the kind of man her father had been. He had not fought for wealth. He had not fought for power. He had fought for peace. Tears filled her eyes. For years she had wondered who he was. Now she finally knew. Tahoma approached quietly. May I sit here? Ilara smiled. Of course. Tahoma sat beside her. For a moment they watched the flames. Then Ilara spoke. I spent most of my life searching for answers. And now that I have them, I feel strangely empty. Tahoma understood. Sometimes the journey becomes part of who we are. When the journey ends, we must discover who we are next. Ilara looked at him. You always know what to say. Tahoma laughed. My children would disagree. That made Ilara smile. For a while neither spoke. The fire crackled softly. The stars appeared above the valley. Finally, Ilara turned toward him. There is something I never told you. Tahoma listened. When I first arrived in your village, I planned to leave after a few days. Really, yes. I had no reason to stay. Then what changed? Alara looked toward the distant camp where the children were playing. Your family, Tahoma, followed her gaze. Nita was helping Keel gather firewood. Kiona was laughing with several other children. The sight warmed his heart. They love you. Alara smiled. I love them too. The words hung gently. Between them, neither looked away. Neither needed to. At that moment, Elder Chayton approached. The old man smiled before speaking. I knew I would find you two together. Tahoma laughed. What do you want, old friend? The elder sat beside them. Tomorrow we return home. The valley has given us what we came for, the truth. Everyone nodded. Then Chayton looked directly at Tahoma. There is one more thing waiting for you at home. Tahoma frowned. What is that? The old chief smiled. A future. Then he stood and walked away. Ilara laughed softly. He is not very subtle. No. He never has been. The next morning the journey home began. No. One noticed Victor Hawley speaking quietly to one of the guards. No one noticed a hidden knife changing hands. And no one noticed that. Victor's eyes never left the trail ahead. The battle was over. But one final danger still remained. The journey home was peaceful. For the first time in many years, Alara felt something she had almost forgotten. She felt at home. The mountains slowly disappeared behind them. The familiar Apache Valley came into view. Children ran through the village to welcome the returning warriors. Tahoma's 4 children were the first to arrive. Keel nearly knocked his father off his horse. You came back. Of course I came back. You always say that. I am always right. Everyone laughed. Then Kiona ran directly to Alara and wrapped her arms around her. The young woman knelt and hugged the girl tightly. I missed you. I missed you too. Very much. The following days were filled with celebration. The story of the hidden valley spread throughout the region. The truth about Victor Hawley became known. Several neighboring tribes agreed to help bring him to justice. For the first time in decades, the name of Alara's father was cleared. His honor had been restored. Yet one problem remained. Victor Hall. 3 nights after returning to the village, he escaped. The guard assigned to watch him had accepted a bribe. Victor disappeared into the darkness. The news spread. Quickly. Warriors prepared to pursue him. But Tahoma was faster. Before sunrise, he and a small group followed the fugitive's trail. By midday, they found him near a narrow canyon. Victor was alone. His horse had collapsed from exhaustion. The old man stood with a pistol in his hand. His empire was gone. His allies had abandoned him. His power had vanished. Yet hatred still filled his eyes. You ruined everything, he shouted. Tahoma stepped forward. No. You ruined yourself. Victor raised the pistol. The Apache warrior did not move. For a long moment neither spoke. Then Victor slowly lowered the weapon. For the first time he looked old, very old. Tired. The fight had finally left him. Moments later he surrendered. This time there would be no escape. When Tahoma returned to the village, several days later, a celebration was waiting. But he noticed something unusual. The entire village had gathered near the council fire. Even Elder Chayton was smiling. That alone made Tahoma suspicious. What is happening? The elder laughed. Sit down and you will see. Tahoma obeyed. Then Chayton stood before everyone. Many years ago, Ayana brought light to this village. When she passed away, we all mourned with Tahoma. We wondered if happiness would ever return to his home. The old chief turned toward Elari. Then fate brought another good woman to our people. The villagers smiled. Alara blushed. Tahoma suddenly realized what was happening. Oh no. The crowd burst into laughter. Even the children were laughing. Kiona stepped forward holding a small necklace made from polished stones. He made this for Alara. Nita smiled. Because we already chose our mother. The valley became completely silent. Ilara's eyes filled with tears. Tahoma looked at his children, then at Alara. For a moment he could not speak. Finally he stood. I searched for a wife because I believed my children needed a mother. The villagers listened. But along the way I discovered something more important. I discovered a woman who brought joy back into our lives. He turned toward Alara. A woman who helped my children heal. Woman who helped me heal. Alara wiped away a tear. Tahoma took her hand. Elara. Will you stay here with us as my wife, as our family. The entire village held its breath. And Alara smiled. The answer came. Immediately. Yes. The valley erupted with cheers. Children laughed. Warriors celebrated. Even the elders looked emotional. As the sun set over the Apache Valley, a new chapter began. The lonely warrior who had searched for a wife had found far more than he expected. He had found love. His children had found a mother. And Alara had found the family she had spent her entire life searching for. For the first time in many years, their future was bright. And this time happiness had come to stay.